Hello guys, welcome to Hot Bench. The bench today is really hot because we have this one guy mlimpenda sana from the last conversation. He wasn't here last week, atatuambia wapi amepotelelea, but today we want to dive into getting to know what is a finance bill, and by the end of the day, not actually what is a finance bill, but getting to understand the finance bill 2025. Tunataka tujue hii mnyama anaitwa finance bill ni nani. So Dedan, umekuaje?
Nimekuwa salama sana.
Umepotea sana, watu wanasema there was that guy, that smart guy. Ako wapi?
The smart guy ako. As you've mentioned last week sikukua. I was worshiping at a different church in CBD. Today sikukuja for the service. I was at Sitam Thika Road. I was also worshiping with the youths on that other end. Yeah, but I thank God I'm alive, I'm well. Yeah.
So guys, remember that the hot bench is a bench where we want to have youths when you want to articulate issues. And as you can see, this young man, anasema amekuwa church, amekuwa nini. These are young men who are well understanding the whole thing about being a Kenyan, being a Christian. So hapa ini hot bench na ina mchezo, it's all pure vibes. Hakuna mambo ya tuko side gani, tuko wapi. No, we are just making sure that we get to enlighten the youth. We have a conversation, let kila mtu aongee. Same to you, msichana mweupe, young Gen Z, tunamuita Gen Z. Gen Z umepotelea wapi? Na watu wanauliza jina yako ni au kusema jina yako last time.
I'm Anjikita, so nimekuwa nikigojea siku ifike. We promised for a finance bill. Finally, we have the day here. So don't forget to subscribe and share and also like as we wait. By the end of it, tutakuwa kama huko unajua finance bill ni nini, utaielewa. Yeah, welcome.
So, wacha hata nianzie swali huko. Anjikita, wewe umemaliza shule last year. What is a finance bill?
Finance bill, as the name says, bill is a document. So finance bill, it's a document, yani a budget, to budget finances for a country. Yeah.
Mkubwa, before nikuje kwako, this guy is a lawyer. Last time alituelezea difference between a lawyer and an advocate. But for now you are a lawyer, awaiting kumaliza shule, uingie hapo malize shule ingine, ukue sasa advocate, the law school of Kenya. But by the end of the day, mkubwa, I want us to discuss matters finance bill this year because last year we had an eruption of the Gen Z na ililetwa na mambo na finance bill, and I wanted to know whether people really get if people really know what a finance bill is, how a finance bill is articulated, and all those kind of things. Then ni kitu wewe as a lawyer utatusaidia, young lawyer, but they remind them that you are a lawyer. Waisikie from you.
Yeah, Dedan Shadrack is my name. I am a lawyer by both profession, by training, and by calling.
Okay.
I am awaiting to join Kenya School of Law in 2026 January.
And already Kasabos is making you practice it here kwa the hot bench. So today the bench will be very hot because kuna vitu mingi nataka tuweze kuzielewa na tuweze kuziunderstand. Now one of the biggest thing I want us to understand today, what is the finance bill? Young girl ametuambia na wajenzi wanajua mambo. Umesikia amesema from the word bill inamaanisha it's a document. But now for you as a lawyer, how do you define finance bill?
Thank you for that pretty amazing question. I will pick up from what Anjikita has mentioned. She has simply broken finance bill as a full term into a finance and then a bill. A bill being a document, and then akasema now it's a document that speaks to the budget of a nation. Now from a lawyer's perspective, we just need to add the legal perspective to it and say a bill is a legislative proposal. It's a legislative proposal to mean it is a document that is drafted by either the parliament as a whole or a committee. There is a Justice and Legal Affairs Committee within the parliament that leads the process of developing bills. Because when you read Article 94 of our Constitution, it establishes parliament as the legislative body of the nation. So it's a bill. It's a document that proposes to make certain suggestions law, you know.
And this document ilifanya last year Gen Z waka erupt hawa walijawa na, and I know you are also a Gen Z by the end of the day, sikutoka kwa hiyo bracket, ilifanya watu wa erupt sana. Do you think the youths really know what a bill, like do they know what a bill in a contain, like the whole thing in that bill, ama do they really know?
Okay, to just respond to that question directly, again from the perspective of a lawyer, stemming from Article 94, you move to now to the specific element of a finance bill. A finance bill is a money bill. A money bill is a bill that is simply speaks to either allocation of finances or it addresses money issues. That's why it's called a finance bill in the first instance. It is anchored in law under Article 114 of the Constitution, which now speaks to money bills, and a finance bill is one of those money bills. There may be other bills that address other financial elements, but the culmination of that is the finance bill.
So the finance bill yenyewe inaongelelea everything, like how we get our money and how the money we collect, so it's going to be used. For instance, I think that's the key. Gen Z last year walileta shida sana. I want to know, because today's main theme ni kuweza watu weze understand what is a finance bill. Me, I don't know. Me, I was there, by the way, I went. But do I really know what was in the finance bill? I'll be lying, guys. I didn't know what is in the finance bill. But there are few things kwa nimesikia zimechukuliwa. I'll give my reasons. Wewe, what are some of the reasons yenye last year ulifeel if finance bill ilikuwa imetugonga? For example, too.
One example is an increase in taxation, and it lead to increase in cost of living. So they were against it, so it can lead to the...
Because finance bill inakwanga very clear that we will maybe tax a certain specific thing. Hebu tuambie moja yenye ilikuwa inataxiwa ikakubwa sana last year.
An example, as a girl, need the sanitary towel.
So I just wanted, guys, for the clearance of things, because by the end of the day, the nation is healing, and we want to understand what are some of the faulty things, maybe what walifanya ama to understand. But on my side, that is one of the example. And I think a lot of people walikuwa tu wanasikia kitu fulani imetaxiwa, kitu fulani imetaxiwa, na hiyo tu wana boil. But today we don't want to deal with issues zenye za kusikia maybe or not understanding fully, and that's why we're going to be talking about finance bill. But I have a question. I know utatufungulia kila kitu, tuambie venye finance bill ya 2025 iko na key parts zenye zinaguza mwananchi common. But before that, I wanted to ask, what makes before I ask that question, I want to know, why does it have to be relooked every year? A finance bill utapata imetengenezwa, imechangewa tena, imetengenezwa tena. What are some of the reasons you think inatengenezwa?
First
every year, sorry.
Yeah. And that's a very pretty amazing question. To answer that question, we have to go back to 2018. In 2018, the current senator the current senator of Kenya from the county of Busia. That's what he told Speaker Kingi to be defined to be called in Senate. Aliulizwa, are you the senator for Busia? But he said, no, I'm not the senator for Busia. I am the senator of the Republic of Kenya from the county of Busia. Oh, nice. So Okia Omtata Okoiti, as we call him, went to the High Court, and among the many things he was seeking was to have the country's finance bill defined within Article 114 of the Constitution to be called now, so that it falls under a money bill. And of course, as you would imagine, the High Court agreed with the Okiya Omtata, and now from then, the High Court proceeded to give a further direction that the finance bill be made every year, so that Kenyans are aware of, again, when you look at Chapter 12 of our Constitution, it speaks about public finance. A finance bill addresses matters public finance, so that Kenyans are aware there is transparency, because there is a principle in public finance called transparency and accountability. We need to have a finance bill preceding what we call an appropriations bill. A finance bill says we have the current tax system under, let's say, the Income Tax Act, we have the VAT Act, we have the Excise Duty Act, we have the Miscellaneous Fees and Levies Act. This is the current system of tax that we have. Now, when a finance bill comes into force, it tends to amend some of the sections within those specific laws as they are. And as you will see, when we are discussing now the contents of the Finance Bill 2025, you will see some of the proposals from the current Finance Bill that tend to amend the existing laws and the existing percentages of taxes that Kenyans should pay. That's exactly what a Finance Bill does. After the Finance Bill comes what we call the Appropriations Bill. We have said under the Finance Bill, these are the suggestions that we have. This is what we need to increase taxes on. This is what we need to maybe even reduce taxes on. Because, to be honest, a Finance Bill does not only focus on increasing taxes. There is what we call tax administration and streamlining of things. So that if a particular law was saying something different from a related law, they align those laws and they are even able to bring taxes down. We've seen that happen. So Appropriations Bill now follows the Finance Bill to say these are the amount of monies that we'll be able to collect from these laws, because again, there is no taxation without law. That's Article 110 of our Constitution. So that any tax that is being charged on any Kenyan must be based on the law. Now, following the Finance Bill, now we move to the Appropriations Bill, which we have 4 trillion, for example. We are going to allocate to our education system 600 billion. We are going to allocate to the infrastructure, Ministry of Roads and Infrastructure, 300 billion and such other amounts. So it's a long process, so to say, yeah.
So maybe just to ask our Gen Z, wewe najua kizungu imekuwa mingi. Maybe just to ask, why do you think we tend to change our finance bill every time?
First of all, I think even kwa familia, vile unapata income every month, sometimes unapata needs zina change every now and then. So as a country, the finance bill is necessary, or it's important, because it will be able to enable us to access or be able to know how we have spent the finances we get from the public. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I think also naweza sema literally naweza sema we can take a finance bill just like any other. Kila mtu najua anakuwa na ile do anapata na ameipangia venye atafanya. I think basically tukisema why it changes and in a vary from time to time, naweza sema ni because of different factors. Like na tuko naongea na mabeshtongo kuna sema sometimes unaweza kuwa ulikuwa umebudget utatumia do mob maybe kubai manguo, and that one you change it because now you have the clothes, okay? So you appropriate certain finances to other things that need to grow, because there is a month where there's a few months and you feel I need to maybe buy vitu za nyumba, lens, sometimes you feel yani depending with your plan na life yako. So unaweza sema, for me naweza sema some of the changes why the finance bill has to change is because of change in also quality interest ama priorities change. Like a government can come in mwaka wame make sure walikuwa allocate more money kwa maybe the blue economy. Now it's settled for this year, next year let's put more kwa maybe education, tunafeel kuna reforms tunataka kufanya, so it will always change depending on that. And I think that was one of my key point on why they always change. And what do you think?
Yeah, I think as you've started by saying, literally, we need to narrow down the thought about a finance bill to be, because there has been a common thought amongst Kenyans that a finance bill is, it's a bill by the government and it's imposed on the citizens. It is not. You've put it very practically in our household, for example. And I think this is a point that Anjikita has also mentioned, without rehashing too much of that what she has said. It's just the budgetary allocations. This time round I have more clothes. This time round we have more flexibility here. In order to get more money from a particular sector, maybe we need to align this particular law so that it enables us to collect this amount of additional taxes. So it is simply that. It's take it as the
simple as
budget.
it is.
Yes, take it as
Just
the
like
budget in your house,
Okay.
and what you allocate. Rent itakula hii much this time round. Steamer itakula this much this time. Now that's what the national government does with its national budget. Yes.
So maybe a lot of youths maybe hawajui wanaweza participate aje. Na me I know that the fact one of the key facts is that everyone can participate in making this animal inaitwa finance bill. Imekuwa ni a big animal, but I believe everyone anaweza. And a lot of youths out there, I know, comment if you know the process, but a lot of youths, they don't know how to be part and parcel of making of a finance bill. Wacha before tupewe jibu, imagine a Gen Z kama wewe, unajua ni aje, how do we get to participate in finance bill making?
For the current year, kuna email imecreatiwa ya vile tunaweza tuma the suggestions.
Okay.
Yeah, so if one feels like the citizen, they feel they have some suggestions on the finance bill, they can send their suggestions there. Yeah, kuna email.
So there's an email. But now we have our lawyer here. For you, we tend to believe you really know how youths can actively participate. One is email, as she has said, which would approve. What is the best way of these youths engaging in this finance bill making?
Okay, I'll answer that question in two different points. The first point is that, and I think this has been commonly supported by everyone who has come out public to speak about the conduct of government in terms of communicating to its citizens. The legally recognized means through which a government speaks to its citizen or it addresses or notifies public of stuff is through gazette notices. A gazette notice is a legal declaration by the government or a state agency communicating to its citizen of particular things. For example, we had this aid holiday, right? You saw it being gazetted by the Minister for Interior and Coordination of National Government, so that it is now legally known by everyone in the country that that's a holiday. Unfortunately, not so many Kenyans, I would say,
Know about these gazette notices.
know about even where to find the gazette notices. Not so many Kenyans even know where to find even the finance bill itself.
So how can they?
So to get to the question, I would say there is need for better sensitization by the government to improve its means of communicating to the citizens. Of course, they can set up the gazette notices as a way of legally justifying conduct, but can they adopt the current communication channels that we have? WhatsApp,
TikTok.
we have TikTok, we have
But
Instagram.
there, I'm thinking of they can use influencers to influence and tell
100%.
people, yo guys, hii time tutakuwa huku, watu watakuwa nafanya this and this, you can be part of it.
Yeah, because come to think of it, the public participation sessions right now.
So how let's say I'm just a young man, I don't know if they even these. So what are these public participations? How do I get into it? So how do I get into these public participations? Because I think now the point you're trying to make is that there are gazetted public participations for the youths. I think that's one of the way you are trying. That's one of the way you can impactfully engage in the making of finance bill. So how do they become part of it?
Yes, in order to become part of the the public participation session, the finance and the finance committee of the parliament usually communicates to the citizens, again through a gazette notice, on the venue for the national public participation sessions. They call them the stakeholder sessions. For example, the process starts for this year started on 30th of April, where the bill was presented by the finance committee to the parliament, and now was opened for public participation throughout the month of May, so to say. The sessions were in South Sea. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, so the sessions were being held at a hotel called The Edge in South Sea. I must be very clear that I'm honored to be one of the Kenyans who participated, of course, on behalf of my employer. in the public participation sessions. But one of the things I noted was that the so-called stakeholders, they were saying, were not individual Kenyans. These were companies, corporates, and such other organized settings that were allowed to present their memorandums and maybe now given minutes to address or highlight what the memorandums contain in terms of their comments on the finance bill. So I still believe that there may be better ways of communicating the forums for public participation so that the common mwananchi can participate.
So in short, the best there's only one best way, being actively part of it, and that is through public participation in which it's gazetted. So one of the faults of this thing is that a lot of people don't get to know, and this is what I was trying to say. A lot of youth out there, they don't know about it, and one of the things, because hata sisi tuko na makosa, tumesema gazeti ni za wazee, but naturally we know that a government speaks through gazette notices because hiyo ni a credible, the best credible means. But we as you Gen Zs mnasema that it will be more fair if also they could use other avenues, because utapata majenzi wengi hawayuko kwa magazeti but wana watch my influencers. Kama sasa kuna hii situation, there are these influencers who are influencing for betting companies. They can be used for government things so that people can know what is really happening. But anyway, because of time, 2024 imepita, tuko 2025. I want to give you time to tell us what is in this 2025 bill, because by the end of the day I believe kuna watu wengi pale nje hawajui, and this hot bench today is a little bit calm because we are talking matters, okay, matters that are really deep within and they need to be known. So what is this animal enye tunangojea 2025 wenye wajui, na kama si animal utatupatia pia differences kidogo zenye ziko nayo na 2024 bill?
Okay. I will start with the differences.
Do you know what is in the bill 2025?
Yeah. So first of all, there's no addition tax, and also
That's true.
I will speak when my time comes.
and also access to financial records of citizens and businesses. Iko.
So Gen Zs, niko na shida na nyinyi. Nyinyi mnaendeanga ile kitu yenye tu hamtaki. Because I've not heard you saying something positive. What's positive in the finance bill 2025?
The fact that they're not increasing the taxes.
Oh, nice. I think mkubwa sasa, tell people what is kwa hii finance bill 2025. What should we expect?
Okay.
Mwenye hajaiona bado.
I think
and also where ukimalizia tutuambia where they can find it.
I think I will start with the question you had initially posed about the differences between the Finance Bill 2024 and the Finance Bill 2025. Yeah, very slightly, very direct to the point, is that I would describe the Finance Bill 2024 as a very petty bill. In 2025, we tend to have a more reasonable bill. Okay. As we elaborate the differences, you'll be able to know why. And the difference, number one, is that in terms of the projected collections from the tax laws amendments proposals in 2024 and in 2025. In 2024, if 2024 finance bill passed, the Parliament and the National Executive were targeting to collect 346 additional billions. That is 346 billion shillings in additional income or revenue. In 2025, the finance bill targets to collect just about 24 to 26 billion shillings. That's about 10 or so percent of 10 or less percent between 2024 and 2025. The 2024 finance bill, the collections that they were targeting to make, that's the 346 billion, were the highest in the history of Kenya's finance bill making. So it was a pretty ambitious bill. The second difference would be in terms of how they were arriving at those billions, and now
And
the
this 3 plus
2025.
is a plus from our
yes,
normal.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So in 2024, they propose to raise that amount of money by imposing additional taxes, most importantly on the daily consumables of Kenyans. In 2025, they have not focused more on introducing new taxes per se, as Anjichita was saying. They are focusing more on streamlining the tax laws that are existing at the moment.
Okay.
So that, for example, if we had the Tax Procedures Act saying that you have to submit, let's say, a VAT refund claim within 12 months, the VAT Act is saying you can only do that within 24 months. So you see, they are all authorizing the same thing, only that one is allowing a 24 months period, the other one is allowing 12 months period. So the 2025 finance bill comes in to streamline the two and propose that, if it's 12, it's 12. Yes. And I think we'll highlight some of those differences as we go by. Those are just two of the major differences.
I know because of my time, I'll stick to my time sana because I don't want
that's
video
true. That's true.
sana. If video wakiangalia waone kuna vitu maybe wajapata kabisa, watatuleta hapa. I want you utupatie 3 key good things on the new finance bill. Alafu sasa ndio ikuwe mzuri, watume they go somewhere where they can get the finance bill. Alafu from there I think itakuwa iko mzuri.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
And I love how you phrased that question. Because I think William Ruto was saying the other day that Kenyans are so pessimistic. They never see anything good. But you posed the question and said that we need to highlight some of the good things and some of the kind of bad, a bit ish. Okay. So we'll start with the goodies. And some of the goodies, for example, there's a proposal in the finance bill that is looking at personal income tax and saying, for these people who earn what we call per diems. Per diems, these are the kind of allowances, the allowances that come, maybe you've been sent out of station and now you'll be given certain allowances. Previously, those allowances were subject to tax up to minus 2,000. That means if I've been able to get, let's say, 10,000 shillings, 2 of it will not be taxed. Yes, so the 8,000 will be subject to tax. They have increased that threshold. They are proposing to increase that threshold from 2,000 to 10,000 shillings. What that means is, if I have been sent out of station, and for that engagement I've been able to collect, or I owe, I'm owed by my employer, whoever it is, 10,000 shillings, right?
No tax.
I'll not be taxed on that per diem. If it goes to 11,000, the tax will only apply on the extra 1,000. So I think that's one of the good things that we would say. The second thing, I would go to the excise duty. There is what we call excise duty licenses. The previous excise duty act, there was no specific timelines within which excise duty exemption excise duty certificate can be issued. Under the current finance bill, they are suggesting to make it for the license or denial of it to be given within 14 days. You see, that kind of gives the guarantee to the applicants.
Instead, you apply something and then you get it after 4 months, 5 months. Now from here, and it's just 14 days.
14 days and you're good.
And you are good.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So another goodie?
Do we have any other goodies? There are several other goodies that, of course, apply. For example, there is something we call wealth structuring, where you are having intra-company transfer of property, where you are saying this is one company, but we have property moving from one shareholder to the next. Previously, it was subject to what we call capital gains tax. Now, the finance bill suggests that there will not be the 15% capital gains tax on intra-company transfer of property or transfer of wealth within that setting. So I think that's also another good. Yeah.
So because of time, my camera person ananiambia masaa imekimbia. I don't know utamalizia ama utatuambia these are
Yeah, I know that you have told us about the goodies of the finance bill of 2025. What do you think is the impact to our wanini wadogo like the citizens, how citizens wenye tunasemanga kama kina mama mboga, wakulima, yeah, the common mwananchi, yeah. What's the impact to such?
Okay, thank you. I think the impact of the finance bill 2025, and I think much of it has focused on the corporate sector, but what happens in the corporate sector, let's say there is an increment in tax at that setting, it means there are very little disposable income. But the fact that now the finance bill 2025 does not suggest as many additional taxes as anyone would think, then I think there will be more disposable income on the part of citizens. I mean the corporate sector, which trickles down to the common mwananchi. So they would expect that they won't have to tighten their belts any further. Yeah, of course they may expect a few goodies to flow from the finance bill.
Okay. So this is Straight Vibes TV. Yeah, we had the finance bill 2026. Yeah. So in case you have any comments, you can write it down, and don't forget to subscribe, share, and also like. This is Street Vibes TV. I'm Anjikita, the co-hosts, and we have our hosts
Kasabos, and today is a lawyer anaitwa nani?
Dedan Shadrack.
Yeah, welcome.